Imagine a winter where the world outside is a frozen wasteland, but inside, you're harvesting fresh, homegrown vegetables, no electricity, no fancy technology, just pure, time-tested methods passed down through generations. This isn't a futuristic dream. This is how the Amish have been growing their own food in harsh winter conditions for centuries. Stick around, because what you're about to learn could change the way you think about self-sufficiency, and possibly even save you from the unpredictable challenges of the future. Let's dive into how the Amish grow vegetables in winter without relying on electricity. The Amish are often viewed as a group of people who have stepped back in time, living without many of the modern conveniences we take for granted. Yet, what we might see as limitations, the Amish turn into strengths. Their lifestyle is centered around self-sufficiency, community, and sustainability. From farming to food preservation, every aspect of Amish life is designed to minimize dependency on outside resources. But here's the real kicker. Their methods are incredibly efficient and sustainable. They've found ways to grow food all year round, even in the bitter cold of winter, all while maintaining a deep respect for nature and the land. This is not just about surviving. This is about thriving, even when the outside world seems harsh and unyielding. And in a world where energy prices are rising and climate change threatens our food security, there's a lot we can learn from their approach. The Amish have mastered the art of using solar energy in ways that might surprise you. Picture this. It's winter and outside temperatures have dropped to freezing, but inside a small greenhouse, the sun's warmth is enough to keep plants alive. That's the beauty of passive solar design. The Amish utilize greenhouses that capture and retain solar heat throughout the day. It's simple yet genius. These greenhouses are built with insulated materials, including glass panels, that allow sunlight to pour in and warm the space. But what really sets these greenhouses apart is their use of thermal mass. Think of large water barrels or stone walls. These materials absorb the sun's heat during the day and slowly release it at night, preventing the temperature from plummeting after dark. By relying on these natural heat sources, Amish farmers avoid the need for electricity or fancy climate control systems. Instead, they harness the power of the sun, just as their ancestors did. And this brings us to a crucial point. In a world so dependent on power grids and technology, the Amish have found a way to be completely independent, even in the dead of winter. But what happens when the temperatures dip even lower? Is it possible to grow crops in sub-zero conditions? Stay with me, we'll get there in just a moment. When you think of growing food in winter, you probably envision freezing cold and lifeless soil. But the Amish take a different approach, using structures called cold frames and hotbeds to protect their crops from the harsh elements. A cold frame is essentially a mini greenhouse that's built low to the ground, often with a transparent cover. The key here is that it traps heat during the day and shields plants from the freezing cold at night. It's a simple but effective way to extend the growing season, especially for cold-resistant crops. But the Amish go even further. They use manure-heated hotbeds, a method that might sound strange, but it works beautifully. Fresh manure decomposes and generates heat, which can be harnessed to warm the soil. Imagine that, nature's own composting system, working for you without needing any electricity or synthetic fertilizers. But there's one crucial piece to this whole system: the right crops. Without hardy, cold-resistant vegetables, these methods wouldn't be nearly as effective. And that brings us to the next section, where we'll explore which crops the Amish grow in the winter and why their selection is so important. Not every vegetable can handle the frigid temperatures of winter. The Amish, with their wisdom and experience, know this better than anyone. They focus on growing hardy, frost-tolerant crops that can thrive even when the mercury drops. Kale, spinach, carrots, and cabbage are just a few examples of the vegetables that flourish in the winter cold. These plants are designed by nature to survive and even thrive in conditions where most other crops would perish. The Amish also practice crop rotation, an ancient technique that keeps the soil healthy and productive year after year, even through harsh winters. But there's an even more critical reason for this careful selection of crops. In the unpredictable world we live in, relying on food from distant places or big box stores could leave us vulnerable. If you were forced to rely on your own garden this winter, would your crops survive? The Amish can teach us how to build resilience into our food systems, regardless of the season. But even the hardiest crops need protection from the brutal cold. The Amish don't stop there. They use ingenious methods to keep their plants warm and protected, which brings us to the next point, insulation. In the Amish world, it's not just about what you grow, but how you protect it. During the winter, they turn to natural insulation to shield their crops from the elements. Straw bales, quilts, and other organic materials are used to insulate the soil and protect plants from the cold. These natural insulators not only keep the warmth in, but also protect the plants from frost. It's a simple yet powerful way to keep plants alive and healthy, even when the temperature outside drops below freezing. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The Amish are masters of resourcefulness. They don't need the latest gadgets or tech to keep their crops safe. Instead, they use what they already have. Things like animal manure, old quilts, or even thick layers of straw to protect their soil and crops from the cold. The real question is, how do they water these crops in the middle of winter? It's not as easy as turning on the tap. Stay tuned. We're about to uncover one of the Amish's most surprising solutions. When winter sets in and the snow falls, irrigation systems powered by electricity or complex pumps are often rendered useless. But for the Amish, this isn't a problem. They've been thriving without electricity for centuries, and their solutions are simple, sustainable, and effective. In the Amish world, water is precious, especially in the winter. They rely on manual methods to water their crops, employing hand pumps, gravity-fed irrigation, and other low-tech systems that don't require electricity or complicated machinery. One of the most iconic and simple solutions is the hand pump. This device is often powered by human effort rather than electricity, allowing farmers to manually pump water from wells or other natural sources. The Amish use these hand pumps to draw water from deep within the earth, providing a reliable source of water for their crops, even in winter. But what makes this approach so remarkable is the ingenuity behind it. By relying on human-powered pumps, Amish farmers avoid the energy-consuming, often unreliable irrigation systems we might depend on in more modern settings. There's no need for electricity, no worrying about frozen pipes, and no fear of system failures during an unexpected power outage. The hand pump is a workhorse, resilient in the harshest of conditions. In addition to hand pumps, many Amish farms use gravity-fed irrigation systems, another brilliant, low-tech solution. These systems take advantage of the natural force of gravity to move water from one place to another. Water is collected in barrels or cisterns that are positioned higher up on the farm, usually near a natural water source like a stream or well. From there, the water flows down through pipes or hoses to irrigate the crops. The beauty of gravity-fed irrigation is its simplicity. It requires no electricity, no pumps, and virtually no maintenance beyond ensuring the water source remains clean and accessible. But there's a catch. Gravity-fed systems depend heavily on the landscape. Amish farmers must carefully plan their irrigation layout to ensure that the land slope is steep enough for gravity to do its job. This means that every inch of land is used with intention, and water must be carefully managed to avoid wasting any precious drops. And then there's water storage, an essential component of winter watering. While most people rely on a municipal water system or a well-connected water supply, the Amish are more resourceful. They save water from the fall and spring rains by harvesting it in large barrels or cisterns. They also collect melted snow, which becomes a critical resource in winter months when the rainfall is sparse. By collecting snow, the Amish make sure they have a sustainable water source to keep their crops hydrated, even when everything around them is frozen. They don't wait for the weather to give them what they need. They create their own systems for success. However, even with these low-tech solutions, the Amish face a challenge when it comes to watering during the harshest cold. Watering crops during freezing temperatures can risk damaging the plants. So the Amish are very careful with timing. They typically water early in the morning before the temperature drops too low, or during the warmer parts of the day when the risk of frost is lower. This precise timing ensures that the water doesn't freeze on the plants, which could cause severe damage. But here's the secret. They know that the water isn't just being used for survival, it's also a key part of their crop care. While most of us would think of water as a simple necessity, the Amish view it as part of their deeper relationship with the land. They carefully measure and consider when and how to irrigate to enhance soil health and promote plant growth, ensuring a bountiful harvest even in the harshest of seasons. Watering in the winter isn't just about surviving the cold, it's about thriving despite it. As winter creeps in and the first frosts begin to blanket the land, growing crops outdoors might seem impossible. But the Amish, with their profound understanding of the land, have perfected ways to protect their plants through a combination of row covers and mulching, two simple yet powerful techniques that shield crops from freezing temperatures, helping them survive even the harshest winter conditions. Row covers, nature's blanket. Imagine a soft, breathable fabric draped over your plants, creating a warm, protective cocoon around them. That's essentially what row covers do. These lightweight, flexible sheets are placed directly over crops to protect them from the elements. The Amish use row covers in their winter gardens, effectively creating small microclimates that allow their plants to thrive when it seems impossible. The row covers work by trapping heat from the sun during the day and preventing the warmth from escaping at night. In essence, they act as a greenhouse for individual rows of plants, keeping them warmer than the surrounding air. Even though the outside world may be bitterly cold, the plants under these covers stay protected, enjoying the benefits of a slightly warmer, frost-free environment. What makes row covers especially ideal for the Amish is that they are incredibly versatile and cost-effective. Made from materials like spun polyester or woven fabric, these covers are lightweight enough for easy handling but strong enough to withstand the elements. They're not just protection from the cold, they also protect against wind, heavy snow, and even insect pests. In winter, this all-in-one shield helps to conserve soil moisture and keep plants safe from the elements. The Amish are strategic with their row covers, ensuring that the fabric is placed loosely enough to allow air to circulate, preventing the plants from suffocating, while still providing ample protection from frost. And since the covers are so easy to remove and replace, they can adjust the level of coverage based on the temperature and the needs of the crops. But here's where it gets interesting. These row covers are also used to extend the growing season. The Amish are able to start planting earlier in the spring and continue harvesting later into the fall and even winter, taking full advantage of the weather. It's a practical solution that stretches the growing calendar and makes it possible to grow fresh food throughout the year. Mulching. Nature's insulation. In addition to row covers, mulching is one of the Amish's most effective tools for protecting crops from the cold. Think of mulch as a natural insulator, similar to a blanket that wraps around the base of plants and the soil itself. The Amish use a variety of organic materials for mulching, including straw, hay, leaves, grass clippings, and even wood chips. These materials are spread generously over the soil to create a thick, protective layer. The real magic of mulch lies in its ability to trap heat and moisture in the soil. During the day, the sun's warmth is absorbed by the mulch, and at night, it slowly releases that heat, keeping the soil temperature stable and preventing frost from penetrating deep into the ground. This insulation is vital for keeping the roots of plants warm and active throughout the winter months. But mulch also does more than just protect against cold. It helps retain moisture, reducing the need for frequent watering, which can be especially challenging during the winter when irrigation systems are difficult to manage. It also prevents the soil from drying out or becoming compacted, ensuring that the soil remains healthy and aerated, key for supporting plant growth even in the off-season. The Amish take great care when applying mulch. They make sure to lay it thick enough to provide adequate insulation, but not so thick that it smothers the plants or prevents airflow. A well-mulched garden bed can mean the difference between a thriving crop and a plant frozen out of existence. And here's a little-known secret: mulching also contributes to soil health. As the mulch decomposes, it breaks down into rich organic matter, returning valuable nutrients to the soil and enhancing its fertility. This natural composting process makes the soil richer over time, leading to healthier, stronger plants the following year. It's a sustainable system that improves the land and yields better harvests year after year. The power of combining row covers and mulching. When the Amish use row covers in combination with mulching, they create a highly effective double layer of protection for their winter crops. The row covers protect against the immediate threat of frost and freezing temperatures, while the mulch insulates the soil and roots, keeping the environment stable for the plants. This dual approach creates a microclimate under the covers where plants can thrive despite external winter conditions. Together, row covers and mulch make it possible for Amish farmers to grow hardier crops like kale, spinach, and carrots throughout the cold months, crops that would otherwise be vulnerable to freezing temperatures without this extra protection. In winter, sunlight is precious and limited. The Amish understand this better than anyone. That's why they place their greenhouses and cold frames in strategic locations where they can capture every ounce of sunlight. They even prune trees or clear away obstacles to ensure their crops get maximum exposure to the sun's warming rays. With careful planning, Amish farmers can stretch out their growing seasons and produce food when it's needed most. Last, but certainly not least, the Amish understand that healthy soil is the foundation of all successful farming, especially in winter. They rely on composting and animal manure to enrich the soil, providing vital nutrients for their crops. It's a full-circle system of sustainability, where everything they do, from watering to fertilizing, relies on natural methods and a deep respect for the earth. In a world where information is often just a click away, it's easy to forget the power of community and the value of hands-on shared knowledge. For the Amish, however, this is the foundation of everything they do. The strength of their farming techniques, especially their ability to grow vegetables in winter, doesn't just lie in the individual, but in the community. In fact, the Amish way of life is built on the belief that collective wisdom is far more powerful than any individual's effort. The Amish have mastered the art of passing down knowledge from one generation to the next. Their farming practices aren't just a series of isolated techniques. They are part of a rich tradition of collective learning that has been passed down for centuries. Elders teach the younger generation, and then those younger farmers continue the cycle, ensuring that every new member of the community knows the sustainable practices needed to survive and thrive in all seasons. The role of elders and mentorship. At the heart of this knowledge-sharing process are the elders, the keepers of traditional wisdom. These experienced farmers have spent decades perfecting techniques like passive solar greenhouse design, mulching, row covers, and cold frame construction. They understand the land intimately, and they pass this expertise on to younger generations, often through hands-on mentoring. When a young Amish person begins their farming journey, they don't just read about sustainable farming or watch videos online. Instead, they learn by working alongside an elder, watching firsthand how to manage crops, tend to livestock, and maintain the tools and equipment that are essential to their way of life. This mentorship ensures that no knowledge is lost, and it builds a sense of responsibility to carry these practices forward. Sharing tools and techniques. But knowledge sharing isn't limited to just the how of farming. It's about collaboration on a much larger scale. The Amish are known for their sense of community cooperation, and when it comes to growing food in the winter, this is especially important. Farmers share not only their knowledge, but also their resources, tools, and even labor. Imagine an Amish farmer struggling with a particularly tough winter. The snow might be heavy, and the winds might be relentless. Instead of facing this challenge alone, they can call on their neighbors who will come and lend a hand. Whether it's helping to build a greenhouse, preparing the soil, or ensuring the row covers stay in place. This type of cooperative effort strengthens the community and ensures that everyone has access to the resources they need. This collaborative spirit ensures that no one is left behind. If one farm is struggling with a pest problem or a crop failure, other farmers will share their advice and provide practical support. In this way, the entire community benefits from the collective success of its members. Sustainable farming knowledge across generations. What truly sets Amish knowledge sharing apart is its focus on sustainability. Unlike many modern farming practices that rely heavily on chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and advanced machinery, the Amish emphasize techniques that keep the land healthy and thriving for generations to come. This sustainable mindset is passed down alongside the technical skills. Young farmers learn not just how to grow food, but how to nurture the land in a way that will ensure its health for future generations. They learn the importance of crop rotation, composting, and using organic methods to enrich the soil. This isn't just about producing crops. It's about maintaining a balanced relationship with the earth, one that will support their community for centuries. This emphasis on sustainable agriculture allows the Amish to create resilient systems that are less dependent on external resources. In times of economic hardship, global supply chain disruptions, or even the uncertainty of natural disasters, the Amish can continue to grow their own food year-round without relying on outside help. Their practices have been designed to stand the test of time, passed from one generation to the next like a living heirloom. The future of knowledge sharing in the Amish community. In a rapidly changing world, the Amish way of life offers a powerful reminder of the value of intergenerational knowledge sharing. While the world around them embraces the latest technological advancements, the Amish are content to stick to what has worked for them for centuries. This steadfast commitment to sustainable practices and community cooperation ensures that the wisdom of the past is never lost, and that it continues to serve future generations. In fact, the Amish community's reliance on sharing knowledge ensures that their sustainable farming techniques, whether it's growing vegetables in winter, preserving food, or building low-tech structures, will never fade into the past. Each generation carries the torch forward, maintaining practices that are deeply rooted in their heritage, but are also incredibly relevant in today's world. As the world faces the challenges of climate change, food security, and sustainability, the Amish example shows us that community knowledge sharing isn't just a nice idea. It's a critical tool for building resilience in uncertain times. As we've journeyed through the Amish way of growing vegetables in winter, one thing is abundantly clear. The key to their success isn't just about what they do, it's about how they do it, and most importantly, who they do it with. From their ingenious use of passive solar greenhouses to the time-tested techniques of mulching and row covers, the Amish have perfected the art of growing food sustainably, even when the world around them seems frozen and still. But perhaps the most powerful lesson they offer is the strength of community, the way they share knowledge, resources, and support to ensure that everyone thrives. It's a reminder that in a world filled with distractions and technology, the most valuable thing we can have is connection to each other, and connection to the land. So, whether you're trying to grow your own winter garden, become more self-sufficient, or simply learn from a resilient way of life, the Amish way has lessons that can help guide you through the coldest of seasons. The wisdom they've cultivated over generations is not just about farming, it's about living with intention, working together, and respecting the rhythms of the earth. If you found inspiration in the Amish practices we've explored today, I encourage you to take that next step. Learn, share, and start building your own sustainable, resilient systems, because the future is shaped by the actions we take today.